Hello guys, it's editor Chloe here. I just wanted to pop in before the video actually gets going because I realized that we're at 1,000 subscribers and I wanted to say that I love you guys so much, and if you subscribe it truly means the world to me. So happy 1,000 subscribers. Hello guys, happy first day of fall because Starbucks decided to release pumpkin today, so that means that it's the first day of fall. I like pumpkin cream cold foam, but I don't really like any of the other pumpkin stuff, so I tried to make a pumpkin shaken espresso, but it's not sweet enough. And I just don't know. I don't know how to make this work for me. I also told the guy I wanted a grande, but he gave me a venti. And I said light ice, and he gave me all the ice. So we'll see how this progression of me actually drinking it goes. But if you're curious, that's what I got at Starbucks today. And going along with the fall theme, today's video is going to be a what I'm reading this fall and what you should also be reading and putting on your TBR for this fall. Okay, first we're gonna go over all the books that I want to read, and then at the end we'll go over some honorable mentions that I've already read, but if you haven't, you should probably read them during the fall. I feel like fall is like the one time where my mood is only for fall books, but like in the summer, winter, everywhere else, I can be in the mood for whatever, and it really doesn't matter, but I just have to mood read. But in the fall, I just like always happen to be wanting to read fall books, which is great because I love this season and it's a great time to read. Okay, I don't really have like an order here. I just picked out like all of the ones that were on my physical TBR that seemed fall-like to me and that I probably bought last fall intending to read and then didn't. And then now I've been waiting a whole year to read them again because I never got to them last fall and then I just couldn't read them. Yeah, I kind of have a taste of everything spread out next to me. So the first book I really want to read this fall is Twilight, and I got this for another video that I did, and then I just didn't end up reading it because it was just not, it was not the right vibes. It was not the right vibes, and I just didn't end up getting through it. And I've never read these books before, but I have watched, obviously, all the movies, and I want to know, I just want to be in the know of, like, which one's better, and if the books are actually good, because I'm pretty sure the books are better, but I don't remember really what people were saying. Obviously everyone knows what Twilight's about, but I also want to read more vampire books because I love vampire TV shows and vampire movies, and I haven't really read any vampire books. Actually, scratch that, I have not read any vampire books, so this would be my first one, and then maybe I could get into more, which would be very, very fun. And if you haven't read Twilight, you should read it too, and then we can all read Twilight and then watch the movies. But I actually messed this up because I already watched the first movie again last time. Well, I forgot that in the first movie, they don't even show Jacob. Like, he's barely in it, and I, like, had no clue. So now it makes me want to read this even more, which is good. I do not want to watch the next movies until I read at least the first book, and then get into it a little bit, because that kind of defeats the purpose. And I kind of forgot the movies, so it'll make it more fun to read the books, if I don't know, because if you guys know me, I do not like knowing anything about a book before I read it. These are not all the books that were fall. I had so many books on my TBR cart that were, like, fall vibes for me. Like, they were either mystery, or they were fantasy, or they were like dark academia, school related, and I feel like those are all very fall, even though you can read fantasy and mystery whenever. For me, they just are all very fall. But I read fantasy all the time. I've pretty much only read fantasy all summer, so whatever. But I'm recording obviously in a different location. I'm at my boyfriend's house, so I almost put all those books in this bag that I have back here, and I was like, this is a little intense, so some of them are the beginning of series, and I didn't bring the full series. Even if I own the full series, I just brought the first book. Okay, so the next one I have is a little thriller book, I'm pretty sure. I don't know. I heard last year I heard Sarah Crowley talking about Alice Feeney all the time, and then I just saw a lot of, like, she was popping up everywhere on my TikTok. So I want to give her a shot because I do like thrillers occasionally, and if these ones are as good as she says that they are, then I think it'd be really fun to read, especially like this whole cover. Just tell me that's not getting fall. You can't, because it is. And it's also, thrillers are usually not very long, and then that makes it like a good easy read. Like this one's only 300 pages. It's about a newsreader and a detective covering a murder in Blackdown, which is a creepy name. Thrillers are just like, are so well-rounded. They're just so, everything about them is meant to be creepy. It's about the detective becoming a murder suspect, and it's a bad murder, and I love like crime ones too. One of those will be an honorable mention. So I'm excited to finally read this because I think I bought this like in the winter, And that is so long ago now. It's almost been a year since I got some of these books, which is crazy. And then I have another one that's like a mystery. I think this one's more of a mystery than a thriller. It's a crime read. It's called The Appeal. And I actually had my boyfriend get me this one last year too. And I just never read it. But I actually never, I don't know if I've ever heard of anyone talking about this book or anyone that's read it. But it says, on the cover it says, 1 murder, 15 suspects, can you uncover the truth? And I love movies like this too, where it's like a whodunit kind of. So I know that I'd like this book. I just don't know why I didn't pick it up. Anyway, this one is about a local theater group. The director and his wife find out that their granddaughter is diagnosed with cancer. And then they're all trying to raise money for her survival. And then everyone is not really sure if they're actually raising money for the right thing. And then tension gets really high and then someone dies. A body is discovered and someone's dead and they try to figure out who it was. So it sounds pretty good. And then the next 3 I have are like not dark academia, but they all have to do with like in a school in some capacity. They're all either in a school or they're about students. So I have If We Were Villains by Emma Rio, and I picked this up like mid-summer because I saw this cover edition, whatever, and I fell in love. And I've wanted this book for a while, but I needed to have this specific copy of the book. It's about 7 young actors at a conservatory place. Okay, well actually I'm really bad at it but it's because I don't like to know very much. So I'm really just a YouTube channel for other people who don't like to know much going into books, because my descriptions are all that I'd want to know. It's a really good book. A lot of people talk about this book, so I have to assume that it's probably really good and I want to give it a shot, and that's pretty much why I bought it. I think the one that I'm thinking of is These Violent Delights, which I also want to read this time, or Secret History. That one also is like along this line, but it sounds like it's another like acting one, kind of similar to The Appeal in that aspect, and I think that's it. But they face their own real tragedy, so we'll see. I'll give you guys an update on if these are similar at all, but to me, in my brain, they sound similar. And the next one is a series which I've heard really good things about. This is Truly Devious. I have all the books in it, but I just didn't bring them with me because I too many books. This one is about a private school in Vermont, and it's like many years ago 2 people disappeared, and then now it's like a decade later or something like that, and it just says many years later. A true crime girl who goes to this school is trying to figure out what happened, and this person, it kind of reminds me of Gossip Girl like actual, not in the show Gossip Girl, it reminds me, it's called Truly Devious is like the tag that this person uses, and like leaves little clues and knows everybody's secrets. So she's trying to figure out how the past is coming to play with her life at this school. And I've heard that they're good, and it kind of is giving me like Gossip Girl meets Inheritance Games meets just those two probably. Oh, also it kind of sounds like Good Girl's Guide to Murder, because she likes true crime and she's trying to figure out something that probably has nothing to do with her, but she's gonna make it have to do with her anyway. But I didn't read these at all last year, even though I had them since last year, because I left them at my boyfriend's house thinking that I'd pick them up, and then I never did. So I brought them home, and then hopefully I'll read them. And then the last one is one that I'm probably gonna start ASAP, because I have been dying to get into this so much, and that is Magnolia Parks, if you can tell by me already holding it up. But this one is like Gossip Girl in high society Britain, London socialites, and I've heard that it's a toxic relationship giving Blair and Chuck, and I love Blair. I used to be a Serena diehard, but now I'm definitely more of a Blair. People obsess over Magnolia and BJ, and I want to also be people. I want to be obsessing over them, and I love that there's 4 books. I think the 5th book does come out this fall, I think, unless I'm completely mistaken. Oh wait, no, I don't think it's this fall, because she just accidentally released, I think Jess Hastings accidentally released the title to the 5th book, so it probably isn't coming out until 2024. I'll have to, once I get into this, I know I'll be so obsessed and checking all the time. But I also love all the like fan merch based off this book, and I just want to be a part of the group that loves this book. And I love the covers. I've been obsessed with these. They've been my favorite covers for a while now. You can see the growing stack of like some of them. Okay, and then that's it for like academia books. The next one I have is a romance, and I've had this on my TBR for probably the past 3 years, which is a bummer. But I had a Colleen Hoover phase and I just never got to this one, and since it is literally called November 9th, I will not read it in any other month but November. And there's nothing you could tell me to make me read it not in November. It will be read in November. So I need to read this just to get it off my TBR. And I've also heard that this is one of the better Colleen Hoover books. So, and I do like her. I don't know why everyone hates on her. And I have read lots of books. I have an opinion, but she's not my favorite author by any means. But I still think that her books are good. And if people want to read them, they should be able to read them. And that's my take for the day. Oh, also, I think that this is about like a couple that like only meets on November 9th. They're like long distance. Yeah, they like live cross country. Yeah, they meet on the same day every year. And then they fall in love and they make it work. I'm assuming. The last book that I have to recommend to you guys that I haven't read yet, that I will be reading this fall, is Fourth Wing. And I just talked about this in my last video too. Look at that. Can you guys see? I don't think you can see, but it's like reflecting light onto my coffee and everything. Can you tell now? Yeah, can you see that? I was so stupid. I want to read Fourth Wing because I love fantasies and I need another one to obsess over, and I'm excited to read this. This is going to be, I'm probably going to read Magnolia Parks next and then Fourth Wing. I see that in my future. As soon as I can get through the darn Red Queen series. I'm halfway through the last book and I just cannot pick it up. Anyway, this one's a dragon fantasy. I'm like a dragon rider. And the first thing that it makes me think of is How to Train Your Dragon. But I know that it's gonna be nothing like that, but that's just what my brain is going to. But there has to be a reason why everyone is obsessed with it, and I'm ready to be obsessed with it too. This also took me a million years to get. It was not on Amazon forever. I finally found it in my Barnes, and I know the hype is over, but I'm definitely gonna do one of you guys asked for a reading vlog on this, and it's going to be happening. I was gonna film it now, but I just need to not read a fantasy to get out of this stupid slump that I'm in, and then this will be coming, I swear, so that you guys will all know what to expect when you get into this book and if it's worth a read in fall. But for me, it's gonna be happening. Those are all the books that I have on my personal TBR for this fall, aside from like some other ones that I didn't bring but clearly I wasn't as excited about. That'll probably be sitting on my TBR until next fall, but hopefully not. Hopefully I'm better than that this year. Now I want to tell you guys about some books that I've already read or I probably read last fall and loved, and if you haven't read them, you need to read them. First one I have is Inheritance Games, which I was just talking to you guys about, or I was referencing to you guys about. This one, I was obsessed with this one. This one has kind of followed me throughout my whole reading journey so far in the past like 3 years, because I read this one as one of the first books that I'd ever picked up since I was like, I personally picked up since I was in middle school, because that's when I used to like read a lot just for my own enjoyment and not for a grade. I was obsessed, and this one is a lot like Knives Out. Like, I can tell you for certain it's a lot like Knives Out but for teens. It's basically about Avery Grams, and she's kind of, I don't know if she's an orphan. I'm pretty sure she's an orphan. Yeah, I don't really know who she lives with, but she's down on her luck. She's just trying to get out of her small town and win a scholarship from her grades in high school. But she gets a letter, I don't remember what she receives. She gets notice from this old guy that she apparently got like most, or if not all of his inheritance, and she's like, I don't even know who this is, like what is the connection here? The only catch to get all this money is to live in his house for a year, but his house also comes with 3 grandsons, the old man's kids that he left behind, and he basically left no money to all these people. They don't like her very much, and she just has to get through it. It's super fun, and the whole family is like very versed in riddles and like games, and that's pretty much all that their grandpa would do. And they're like, all their grandsons are convinced that this is some kind of thing that they have to figure out in order to get their money back. I don't know, figure out why Avery Grams was left all this money in the first place. It's very fun. They're very short chapters, and every other chapter is almost like a cliffhanger, like you're waiting to see what happens. And the cliffhangers in these books are insane. But good for you guys is because all the books are already out, so you can just have a little binge read of all of these and read them super fast because they're just easy to do that with. And then another kind of young adult book that's along those lines-ish is A Good Girl's Guide to Murder by Holly Jackson. This one is about Pip, who decides for her senior project she's going to figure out a murder that happened, I don't know how many years back, maybe like 5 years back? Not that long ago, but it just basically opens up a case in her town that was closed, but she was like, there's some holes in here and I'm gonna open them wide open. She starts getting in trouble for doing that from whoever was trying to cover it up. That's what this book is about. And she also, I don't know if she starts the podcast in this one, but she like documents it through the whole time. And I think she might have the podcast in the second one. That's not a spoiler, that's just what happens. But they're super fun, super easy to read. And all the books in the series are also out, so you can binge that one. I have 2 more adult thrillers, and the first one is The Silent Patient by Alex Michaelides. Whatever. I don't know how you say that. They should have like on the back like how to pronounce this author's name. And this one is about a therapist who's trying to figure out, he thinks that he can like break this woman who killed her husband and then just never spoke again, like never said a word, and she's in a psychiatric ward. Probably. That's probably what it's called. Theo Faber is trying to figure out Alicia's story, and Alicia's the woman who killed her husband and never said a word. And it's basically just snippets of their therapy sessions and then also his own personal life, which is pretty shitty. And then how he's kind of just throwing himself into this case. And it's a very, very, very interesting. And the plot twist had my jaw on the floor. I did not guess it. It was, some people say they guessed it, but I was not people. So that one's really good too. Also another really, really popular book. So this one I haven't heard a lot of people read, but this was another one that I read like my first year of reading, my first few books that I read, and this is Goodnight Beautiful. This one I've heard is a lot like a Stephen King novel, but I don't remember which one. But it's about a couple, and one of them is a therapist, and then they move to a new town, like a small town, and the wife finds out that she can eavesdrop on her husband's therapy sessions through a vent in like the ceiling upstairs, the room upstairs, and she's overhearing everything. And then one day she hears a therapy session, and then her husband goes missing, and she's like, she has to figure out who was and what happened and why. And this one, I think I did guess the plot twist. I don't remember, but it was still a good, easy read. Like it had a good ending too, which I appreciate. I was worried it wasn't gonna have a good ending, but it did. Whereas like Silent Patient did not. I mean, it had like a well-rounded ending, but it wasn't like good in my book. And then possibly, this looks so big sitting on my lap, possibly my favorite fall book ever. Okay, maybe not ever. My favorite like mystery thriller, that category book ever, is the Mindfuck series, because it's so good. I read this on my Kindle, and I want to do a reread of it this fall for sure, because I got this copy from my friend for my birthday this year technically, but no, last year. It was not this year. It's so pretty. It's so fall. It's about this book I just bit my tongue so hard. This book, I'll never forget the plot. It's about a woman who is a serial killer and the FBI agent who is trying to track her down. He doesn't know, obviously, that she's a serial killer, but she knows that he's the FBI agent tracking her down, and they form a relationship. I don't remember how they met, but crazy. This book is literally insane. It'll make you so confused. And especially if you're reading it on a Kindle, because this is a book that's on Kindle Unlimited. Like it's 5 books bound up into one big book, but on Kindle it's 5 separate books. And they're all like 100 pages. Every single ending of those books leaves you on the biggest cliffhanger. You will not be able to stop reading it. I read all 5 of them in one night, just like throughout the night, because I was so obsessed and so curious as to how everything was going to play out. And it has just the most fun vibes ever. So I might need to read this soon if I stay in my book slump, because I know it'll get me out. I didn't realize that. It's like her in a red cloak with like a knife in the back. That's very intense. This book is also very graphic. Just fair warning. I think it has trigger warnings at the beginning, but it's the stuff that the author says is literally insane. Those are all the books that are on my fall TBR and should be on your fall TBR. And I hope we all have an amazing fall reading season and some really awesome big reading months. Hopefully I can get out of my slump, because fall is probably my favorite time to read, just with the weather and everything, because you can still read outside but you're not sweating and dying of heat, and then all the leaves are pretty, and then you have all the fall books. So it's just a good time. Thank you guys so much for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and I love you guys all so much.